Charlie Kirk has been saying that MLK was a bastard for years now. He did it in his debate with me, basically. Charlie Kirk is indistinguishable policy-wise from Nick Fuentes. There is an effort on the part of some conservatives to, like, distance themselves from MLK, which I think isn't going to work out well for them in the long run. I said this on Twitter. Let me see if I can just find the tweet so that I don't have to put in the effort to think twice. Here we go. From Charlie Kirk, the deification of MLK and his proto-diversity, equity, and inclusion ideology marks the exact moment the progress of Black America goes sideways. Their cities disintegrate, their families collapse, educational progress stagnates, they become enormously dependent on government support, crime explodes, 25% of Black men are incarcerated by age 25. You will know the tree by its fruit. Links to a Rumble video. Charlie Kirk has gone more and more sort of evidently alt-right, maybe because he's ass mad at Nick Fuentes making fun of him those times, so he's like trying to show him up by doing their shit but like louder. It doesn't even work that well from a broader... It's bad optics. The Republican Party still puts a lot of effort into pretending that MLK would have approved of what they do today, you know? Then I said, honestly, the fact the modern GOP is so racist they can no longer pretend to respect MLK might actually hurt them in the long run. They've used the myth that MLK would be a modern-day Republican as a shield for decades. I do firmly believe that, you know? I think that the average Republican voter probably does think they would have been on the right side of history back during the marches, the civil rights marches. I really do. I do believe that. I think they're delusional. I think if you took their ideology and put them back 60 years, they wouldn't have. But I think they think that because they've been convinced they're not racist. Most racists don't think they're racist. Racists who actively know they're racists are not a rarity, but they're less common. In reality, most people who are racist just have those biases but aren't conscious of them, or they think their biases are actually truth or whatever the fuck, you know? So I think the idea of like actively opposing MLK is a worthless and pointless rhetorical battle that doesn't help the right optically in any way. Like, what do they gain from that? Real question. I'm actually asking, what do they gain from that? What advantage do they get in drive and recruitment by publicly signaling against MLK when for decades their strategy has been to pretend MLK would have been a modern day Republican? It's just driving a wedge, really. Like, I don't know how that helps at all. Just being more racist for the sake of being more racist, you know? Grift scramble, there is no central plan. Charlie thinks he can get more of an audience or keep the one he has. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I do. I think that, and this has always been the issue with the right to an extent. The right is much better at like centralizing their narrative because they are ultimately beholden to fundraising. A billionaire comes in, gives them all a bunch of money and says, hey, say this thing. And they do, because they don't believe in anything. But because they don't believe in anything, once the money incentives dry up or push them in different directions, they all go their own roads. This is why the alt-right was for a very brief time somewhat unified, but then once the money dried up and they all needed to make their own audiences, like off YouTube because they got banned, they immediately started cannibalizing each other's audiences. They all like devolved into bickering and infighting. They tore each other apart, you know? There was no longevity to that movement because it wasn't really a movement, it was a collection of content creators who wanted to make a living off of being racist online. Now, on the left has a harder time coming together on single issues because we aren't beholden to money in the same way, but the benefit to that is that you see far fewer instances of this like instant cannibalization and fracturing following any kind of like drawing up. The most you get is that people online will try to do like the doomer grift, where they're like, electoralism doesn't matter, nothing matters, you know? And that is an issue, but I don't think that's quite the same, and I don't think it's as severe as what the right has a tendency to do. Keep in mind, Charlie Kirk wasn't just a YouTuber. Charlie Kirk was on stage with Trump multiple times. Charlie Kirk ran TPUSA. You know, like Charlie Kirk isn't just some rando. If an organization with that much weight to it can just fall to the wayside, you know, through the cannibalization process, it's very, very different, I feel. But, you know, whatever.